Hi, I'm Adaline Bebo and welcome back to another video. Today I'm breaking down my very favorite roll of all time and then announcing some very special news I can't wait to tell you about. But first we're going to break down the elephant roll one bite at a time, so let's get rolling. As always, we're going to begin by talking about what your body should be doing during the elephant roll. So first we're going to talk about the upper body. As you do the elephant roll, your chin is going to be down, but you want to make sure that your shoulders don't rock side to side as the baton swings. I'll demonstrate what that looks like a little bit later and how you can tell if you're moving your shoulders because the baton will move in kind of a crazy pattern. So you want to make sure that your shoulders stay perfectly square in line with your hips the entire time. So we're at this slight lean forward. I've got a flat back. That way I'm not leaning forward. I'm just leaning forward far enough that the baton can swing freely right there in front of me. Now for my lower body, which is arguably the most important part of this roll when it comes to the body work, my feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. And as I swing, the only part of my body that's going to move the entire time is going to be my toes. And that's going to be to shift my weight from side to side. So I'm not going to move my upper body or my hips. I'm not going to get any of this motion in there. It's only going to be my toes as my body rocks side to side the entire time. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the baton grip. So it's going to be wedged right here between where your two collarbones meet. There's this little divot, and that's where the baton is going to sit comfortably as you do the elephant roll. The other half of this clamp that's going to lock the baton in place during the roll is this lip underneath your chin. It's right here on your jawbone. It's going to wedge that baton that's right between your collarbones and leave a little bit of a space right there in the neck, kind of like this. That way the baton can swing freely and it doesn't rub too much against your neck, which that causes additional chafing, which we definitely don't want because this is going to make our necks red enough. So this is the locked in grip of the baton as we begin the Hollie Roll. Now we're ready to begin practicing the pendulum motion of the elephant roll. So we've got it in this locked in position here. Your body is going to be leaned ever so slightly forward, like I mentioned, so the baton can swing freely. And as you begin practicing this motion, you want to make sure that you start it off straight on that side to side pattern. You don't want to lift it forwards because it'll bounce back towards you, and you don't want to lift it backwards because it'll swing off pattern. So this pattern is very important here in the beginning as you're feeling the weight of the baton shift side to side. This is where we're ready to begin incorporating our footwork. So as the baton swings to one side, it's going to reach its peak, and that's when you're going to shift your weight to the other side and incorporate these toe lifts that I talked about in the very beginning. So as it reaches its peak on one side, that's when you shift your weight and follow it all the way into this pendulum rhythm. So that was step one of building into that pendulum motion, but now our goal is to increase the height of the pendulum with each swing. So to do this, this is where it incorporates a little bit of physics and some foot timing to help us build momentum. So to do this, instead of shifting our weight when the baton reaches its peak, what you want to do is you want to shift your weight just before the baton reaches its peak so that you can build that momentum higher and higher until you reach that parallel to the ground level. As you're just beginning to figure out this pendulum, it might be helpful to begin by giving it a little extra push here in the beginning just to help you build momentum and figure out that rhythm, as well as helping it get it a little bit higher a little bit sooner, because sometimes in the beginning It has a tendency to build and grow a little bit slowly, but with time and drilling you can figure out how quickly you need to maneuver your feet and shift from side to side in order to make the baton build momentum more quickly. One very common issue is to have a little bit of excessive shoulder or hip movement while you're doing that pendulum motion. This can cause the baton to go in this kind of figure 8 pattern as you swing your shoulders backward, like back side to side, and can cause the baton to swing around instead of straight side to side. So if you see any of that motion causing it to go off pattern, that's how you know that you're either pushing one hip back or the other, or one shoulder forward as you're doing the pendulum. The real key and the necessity for drilling this roll all comes from how tightly you need to keep the baton in between your chin and your collarbone. It's all about experimentation and figuring out how much is just loose enough that the baton can swing freely and you can keep it in control without accidentally letting it slip out and fly away, which is very common at first, and how tight is too tight that the baton doesn't want to swing to its full capacity. So experimenting a little bit, spending some time figuring out how tightly you need to grip the baton in that locked in position will greatly help you as you continue to build it up. Spend some time simply drilling this pendulum motion, really feeling the weight of the baton as it swings side to side. Let your body get into a rhythm with the baton as it swings, and then from there we can work on building up into entries and exits, which I'll discuss next. The first and probably the most simple way that you can enter into an elephant roll is with this hook and turn method. So for this, I have my baton at the end. I'm going to loop it in so that it comes straight next to my right arm. As I do this, I'm going to grab the other end with my left hand and place it securely right there between my collarbones where I know I want to begin the elephant roll, and continue the motion of the baton straight up and around, continuing through the circle, making sure it's on pattern, because how I begin this is going to determine the pattern of the rest of the roll. So as I swing it around and make sure it's on pattern, make sure it's nice and locked into place, and my shoulders, my hips, and my feet are all square and ready to go before I release the baton, once again on pattern, very important, into the elephant pendulum roll. The next entrance into the Hollie Roll is this loop in. So I'm going to once again have the baton at the end, I'm going to circle it, and I'm going to bring it up to my right shoulder. But I'm gonna make sure that my right hand is nice and tight so it can have easy access into that collarbone locked in position. So it's going to go loop nice and tight, up and over my shoulder, and as I do this, I'm going to rotate my body around. The baton's gonna swing up and over as I continue to place it right there where I want it. It's gonna come up and over, and it's already there, ready to go as I drop the baton down into the pendulum swing. So there's that brief moment where it's kind of hanging out right there on my shoulder in this wedged position. So it's right there at the end of my tape that's touching the top of my shoulder. The rest is already locked in, ready to go. This position will also help us in the next entrance that I'm getting ready to teach you. But having your body pitched ever so slightly forward and then pulling that shoulder back to unlock it and release it down is how you're going to begin that pendulum swing. The last entrance I'm going to teach you is arguably the most advanced, but is one that I invented a couple years back for my own routines. I absolutely love this one, but I will warn you that it takes some time spent practicing and really figuring out how much you need to grip the baton as you bring it around in order to really master it. So be ready for some serious practice on this one. For this one, you can enter it a couple of different ways. I like to enter it from what I call a vertical monster roll, but you can easily enter it simply from a little vertical neck trap. It's going to begin at this right shoulder. You have it nice and tightly trapped in there, and as I swing around, I'm going to make sure that the pattern of the baton continues. So it comes up and around, and I want this downward swing to really help me pull the baton and use that momentum, and I'm going to loosely grip the baton right here between my shoulder and my chin in this little space as I swing it down, and that momentum is going to swing and pull the baton further down the end so that it's underneath my chin like this. And this is all going to happen as I rotate to the left, up and over, and like I said in the last one, it's going to have this brief moment where it's suspended on top of my shoulder and underneath my neck. That allows us to go straight into that pendulum swing, just like that. Next, I'm going to talk about a couple exits to get out of the Hollie Roll now that we've got the pendulum motion down. So number one is this simple over the neck roll. So you want to build up enough momentum that the baton is at least parallel with the ground, if not a little bit higher. And you have to experiment a little bit to figure out what angle is best for you in order to release the baton and have the baton roll straight over your neck, and you catch it on the opposite side with that hand. So it looks like this once again. So I'm going to build up that momentum so it's nice and ready to go, and then roll it right over. If you notice, my shoulders never move and I never stand up until the roll has completed and the baton is in my hand. If you stand up too soon, the baton will go off pattern and fall backwards, and that will not be successful, but you want to make sure that you stay perfectly square right where you were in that position when you were swinging it. And when you let it go, the only motion that happens is a very slight bend and dip in my knees to get underneath the baton, but it's very, very slight. So as the baton comes up, I let go, I push my body a little bit to the side in order to get underneath the baton and help the baton momentum go over my head. It rolls over and I catch it on the opposite side, and I'm ready to go on. This can very simply be done on the other side as well. So you can go into this pendulum, into the roll from the right to the left, just as easily. The second exit starts very similarly as the very first one, but this time, instead of the baton just rolling over your neck to the other side, you're going to begin standing up as the baton rolls over this midpoint on your neck. It's going to roll off your shoulder here and go down your arm, and you're going to catch it backhand in this opposite arm. So it looks like this. You're going to need the same building of momentum as you had for the first one, where it's nice and on pattern, and you want to find that sweet spot where it's best for it to roll over. That one for me didn't have quite enough momentum, so I needed to wait maybe 1 or 2 more swings in order to have it at that sweet spot. So I'm going to feel the weight of the baton as it swings, and then let it roll up and over. I hope you found these tips and tricks helpful, and if you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below to let me know. And now for that very special news I'm excited to tell you all about. I've launched the Be Bold Club membership, which is a monthly membership for $9 per month that allows you access to exclusive content, classes, as well as discounts on any class you take with me, and a whole slew of other benefits that I've listed in the description below, as well as the link where you can sign up. This club is simply a supplement to the lessons that you already take with your coach, and will allow you an exclusive edge to help you reach your twirling goals. So be sure to check it out at the link below. Until next time, work hard and be bold.